Welcome to another edition of the Strange Days audiocast with your host, Jeffrey Chapman.
Hey everybody, it's your man about town, Jeffrey Chapman, aka Chili J, aka the man who wished you would. And I'm happy to welcome you to another episode of the Strange Days audiocast. You know, it was my firm intention today to leave aside the listing of wrongs being committed by this Trump government, to cease with the airing of grievances, so to speak, and get to the part where we finally start talking about what we do to put an end to the sins of this government. But I realized that one more additional step was needed before we could begin talking about what to do. I realized that we first must equip ourselves with the proper perspective. For instance, I begin every episode of this show by asking all of you to first take certain words of mine, wrap them around yourselves, and use them as a lens, so to speak, through which to view everything that's happening right now. And more immediately, as a filter through which to consider everything that I'm about to say. I'll always tell you, remember, a lot of people went to bed last night who didn't wake up this morning. So if you woke up this morning, you're winning. In other words, the glass is always half full, people. It's always half full. Never forget that. And so before we begin listing the actionable steps that can be taken against this current lawless government, please allow me to give you the proper perspective with which to equip yourself for the work that lies ahead. This is very important work. I once told a friend of mine, a guy who actually voted for Trump twice, a guy who is so brilliantly intelligent and yet who gave the most simplistic answer for why he voted for the man, which was basically, well, they say he's good with business. So, and after the second time, I told him something, and I'm also saying this now to those who may be listening who may have also voted for Trump. With all due respect, people, this is a man I don't think you fully understood when you voted for him. You see, some people, they can't be reasoned with. Some people aren't capable of handling rational conversations. Some people, you can't present them with a logical argument and expect to get back an equally logical response. Some people, they just want to watch the world burn, okay? They just want to burn everything down. And that's what we have in the White House right now. An arsonist, a full-fledged, committed pyromaniac, okay? So the first thing we need to do then, people, is understand who we are dealing with, what we're dealing with right now. And what we are dealing with right now is not your typical administration. What we are seeing right now is a coordinated dictatorial monster with every branch of the government under its control, and it's the result of a coordinated effort that many of us didn't see. You see, I mean, we were standing around talking about, you know, when they go low, we go high, all these really cool sounding things. And while we were doing that, these MAGA zealots were wasting no time and were joining they were infiltrating local school boards, local courts, local and state legislatures, unions. Again, while Democrats were standing around just giving speeches. I pointed this out back in 2021 after Biden took office. I pointed out to people that Republicans in every state were mobilizing, were taking over state legislatures. They were drafting new laws that would make it easier both to win an election and to prevent an election if necessary. And while Democrats were and currently are standing around talking about, you know, the rules. You can't break the rules. These are sacred rules, historically sacred rules. While they're doing all of that, these MAGA zealots are saying, man, who gives a damn about rules? Yeah, we used to talk about rules, and we used to be the party of law and order, but you know what? Now we've got a convicted felon leading us, a professional rule breaker. So who gives a damn about rules? And you know, now that just triggered something in me at this moment that I'd like to mention, just so we can fully grasp how low we as a country have sunk. When I am released, this is something I think about constantly. When I am released from imprisonment, hopefully soon, God willing, I expect that I'm going to encounter some problems when it comes to finding employment. I expect to be told things like, sorry, sir, but the felony conviction on your record, it won't allow us to hire you here at the bank. Or, sorry, sir, because you have a felony background, we can't hire you as a bonded courier. Or, sorry, sir, we know you like to hunt and fish, you've done it all your life, but because of your background, we can't sell you a gun to go hunting with. Hell, I might not even be able to get a job at McDonald's. But guess what? I can still run for president. I mean, can you believe this? I won't be able to flip burgers at White Castle, but I can be president. History repeats itself. That's a saying, all right? And it's not just a saying, people. It is an absolute truth, which is why we record history, so that we can learn from it. And there is one particular facet of history that we need to face and deal with. The fact that every grand civilization from the beginning of time, once they reach the very pinnacle of excellence at that time in matters of thought, technology, art, etc., they would then proceed to sit back and celebrate themselves and all of their accomplishments. And you know what? Somehow and from somewhere, ignorance and the love of ignorant thinking and behavior would appear amongst those people. And it would become the new normal. And that's what's occurring right now. And I honestly don't believe that we have much more time before our civilization collapses. I want to leave you with a quote by a man by the name of H.L. Mencken, who wrote an op-ed piece for the Baltimore Evening Sun paper back in 1920. It's a quote that was unbelievably prophetic. He said this. He said, as democracy is perfected, we will come to see the office of the president represent more and more closely the inner soul of the people. And on some great and glorious day, those plain folks will see their heart's desire be fulfilled at last, and the White House will be occupied by a downright fool and complete narcissistic moron. 1920, didn't make this up. Food for thought, everybody. Real food for thought. And we'll be back next week with a plan of action for everybody to consider. If you like what we're doing here, please be sure to tell your friends and family. And you can find us on YouTube now under the Strange Days Audiocast. So be sure to subscribe. Peace and blessings, everybody. And remember, if you're not angry, it's because you're not paying attention.